the world has already been destroyed twice before, and the name of sun god Nika is invoked after each instance. Dude, this is it. Luffy is the god of destruction. What is going on? My name is Flip, and man, oh man, last time, not much happened in 1135. Ripley, the giant, got pregnant by a man. How that happens, I will never understand. We did get the nurture fruit for the owl, and then the Sheikah lady that's with who we assume to be called Mosa, because I think Mosa and Shanks' brother are the same person. They killed some giants by using like the her powers of hypnotism, and then there's the Elder Jarul has the sword sticking out of his head, and that was a while ago. And it's been a couple weeks. Anyways, that being said, the fact that it's been a couple weeks, we should head right into chapter 1136, called "The Country That Awaits the Sun." Let's do this. And so we get Only Child Yamato and the Holy Narishan Pilgrimage, Volume 22, A Mysterious Hidden Base in Udon. And so this mysterious base happens to have the entrance modeled after Who's Who. So Who's Who from the what's the name? What's the name? The Kaido's faction. I forgot the those guys. He happens to still be alive, and he's in Wano, and he's built his own hut and shit, which is very funny. Uh, anyways, mm, it's so tasty. This mousse reminds me of dinosaur meat, and so this is Luffy eating, and the fact that he's talking about dinosaur meat, it talks specifically about uh wow, Little Garden. So he's reminiscing all the way to Little Garden. Very, very cool. They're quite tricky to catch, as ferocious as they are delicious. No task is too great for its one savior. For one savior. Okay. Oh, so this is Hydrogen, obviously talking about Luffy. But speaking of savior, I don't think at any point Luffy actually saved him. It's highly likely we're going to see Usopp eating as well. I appreciate it, Hydrogen. Stanson. Glad you like it. Okay. It's rare for humans to make it all the way to the Sun Realm. The Sun Realm is. Which one's the Sun Realm? Is it the one at the top? No, that's Heaven. This one's the one in the middle. Sun's Realm would be Niflheim. So this is Elder Jarul talking. He has the whole sword inside his head. How he's talking, I don't know. Must confuse the underworld for Elbaf proper and flee before they find their way up here. Oh, okay. He's talking very weirdly, but uh, most people get confused that hell, like the place, the snowy realm where Loki is Elbaf, and so people just run away, and they're actually quite friendly and not all about war like people think. Huh. Okay, listen up. The mighty Ors was a warrior legendary even to you giants. Who's talking? He tower over any of you 3 times and over. And guess who finally finished him? That is right. This is Usopp talking, okay? It was me. I did it. Way to go, Captain Usopp! uh, wow, your skin really is blue. And so some giants are gawking over Jinbei. You should see Fishman Island. There's many skin tones as there are fish in the sea. Okay. I've always wanted to see a mermaid, and so a little pervert giant is going with the glasses. No shame in that. So that's of course Sanji going. No shame in that. They're a sight to behold. Mermaid Cove is more enticing than heaven itself. Whoa. That said, my heart soars just as much when I see you giant ladies. And so he goes off. Oh, Sanji-kun, you're so silly. It's cute. So these are the first girls aside actually the mermaids. Actually responded very well to him, but they didn't respond in a way like this. I feel like these girls are actually into Sanji. Would be funny if Sanji becomes one of the another Ripley husband. I'm not saying he'll end up with Ripley, but like you get what I mean. He'll end up with a giant. That would be cool. Uh, Woohoo! Beauties everywhere I look. I'm getting buried in babes. Buried is an understatement. You're under mountains here, my boy. And what are you? Who me? Of course, that is the yo himself. I can answer with my own blues. My, what the heck am I Diddy? Yeah. And so I don't know what he's doing. He's like doing a weird song. I guess it's a big wide world out there. Let's toast to it. So he's not saying what he is. He is a regular human, I suppose. I'm surprised so many giants never gone out to sea. Yeah, I kind of assumed they were all pirates. Yeah. And so I think this is Roto. He's going he's crying in front of Nami. Nami Tasso, I wanna apologize to ya and this other straw hat about before. So this other straw hat is probably talking about what? Usopp? Probably. He ain't gonna be forgiven that easily. But bleeding a proper apology out of him was the least we could do. Gerd Tussel's sadistic side really makes my heart flutter. So he is a masochist, apparently. Okay, don't sweat it. It's not like anyone died. Sorrow. No, no. And where's Sanji to say something? I mean, he undressed Nami. Although that's only because Usopp stopped me. Okay. If he didn't, and he wipes the he wipes the beer foam off his mouth as he's smiling and he says it. Pah. If he didn't, it would have been your head. Yes, Zoro, yes. And so Roto passes out. Roto, God, don't tell me you picked a fight without checking their current bounties. You never stood a chance. Yeah, they're all like the billions, pretty much. Don't hold back next time. So that's Gerd going like this. Don't hold back. Gerd Tasso! She's so harsh. I can't get enough. Why is he? I don't like him like at all. I don't want to see more of him. He's so disgusting in every way. Come, come on, everyone. Born here on Elbaf shares the same dream to become the next sun god and rule the world. Wait, what? Zergo's sun god? Are you kidding me? The sun god isn't a ruler. That's right. He's the god of liberation. More like the god of destruction. God of destruction, Luffy? You're wrong. Everyone knows he was the god of laughter. It's getting rowdy. What's this about a god? The sacred Harley texts have been passed down for generations in Elbaf. So this is someone. This is probably Ja Rule talking to Luffy because Luffy just asked, "What's this about a god?" He still doesn't know about Nika. Like some exposition has been dropped on him, but it's been like very minimal. The sacred Harley texts have been passed down for generations in Elbaf. The legends are written in an archaic language, so there have been countless interpretations. Oh, don't tell me there's like a real interpretation of like the Nika and he's not actually the god of liberation, but he is the god of destruction. And then that comes back to destroying Fishman Island and destroying the Red Line as well. And the only reason why people interpret it as the god of liberation is because during destruction, while destroying things, he liberates people by accident. Dude, no one can say for sure which translation is accurate, and this is the result. According to the Harley text, the world has already been destroyed twice before, and the name of sun god Nika is invoked after each instance. Dude, this is it. Luffy is the god of destruction, not the god of liberation. And Luffy goes Nika. And so, we see a new a hieroglyph. It's not a hieroglyph, but we can see a new silhouette going like this of sun god Nika. Oh my god. Okay, who can say if he was the world's savior or the great destroyer who brought it by crashing down? All we know for sure is that he heralds great change. That is why the rulers of the day always tend to fear Nika's return. So the reason that the world government fears Nika so much isn't specifically because he's gonna liberate or even specifically destroy the world government, but because he'll bring about change. Like for sure. And so they want to control that fruit. I don't oh my god. Because if Nika's the god of destruction, that changes the reason why they want the fruit. Maybe. I don't know. It's weird. Uh, and he goes again. Luffy goes again. Nika. That's the guy Bonnie mentioned. Yes, the sun god has become a symbol. Someone the hopeless and desperate turn to for salvation. They say Nika is adorned by white clouds, with white hair and white clothes to boot, and he is said to have a contagious booming laugh. No wonder everyone's been saying I look similar, but I'm sure he's got nothing to do with me. I was sure Oda was about to make it so Luffy was about to ignore that comment altogether because Luffy has done that in the past. It's mind-boggling to me that he actually is, you know, pertaining to this thought like at all. Don't be so dismissive, Straw Hat. You'd understand if you were born on Elbaf. We all look up to Nika, not to defend Roto, but he wasn't lying about us all sharing the same dream. The other thing that I can't help but think about is the fact that Luffy now knows the name Nika, now knows the Sun God Nika to like a good degree. He knows what he's supposed to look like. And even though he's saying, oh, he definitely looks like me, he isn't thinking because people had been saying maybe Luffy did hear that the name of the fruit was not the Gum Gum fruit, but the human fruit model Nika, but that he just changed it to Gum Gum fruit because that's what Shanks said it was called. But the fact that he doesn't recognize the name through this means, and the fact that he doesn't think it has anything to do with him, might just imply that he has never heard that name before, which means the fruit. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what to think. Loki was the same. I believe his motive for Harold's murder was his attempt to follow in Nika's footsteps. Was his motive for Harold? Was it okay? Nothing can justify what he did, Elder. I mean, I don't think he's trying to justify it. I think he's just trying to understand why. Loki. So he's a good guy? And everyone goes, no way in hell. Okay. Are we okay? I'm sorry, I'm a bit speechless. Are we about to hear like what Luffy did? Okay. He's the accursed prince. There was a prophecy before Loki was born that foretold that King Harold would be slain by his son. Then, shortly after his birth, the royal steed, the horse of fortune, died. Oh, so Loki killed it. That was the same year that Linlin murdered the legendary hero Jorul. Oh, so he did die. I was never sure. Big Mom actually killed him. Also, the fact that they're talking about Linlin here, I've been saying for a while that Big Mom's coming back. And that she's gonna be a part of Elbaf for sure. I think this cements it. But also it's part of the history. I don't know. It's a weird thing. And the tragedies kept coming. A year later, the queen herself passed on. The princeling would go on to use his natural strength to make the realm of the dead his own personal playground. He killed many of those ferocious beasts and tamed the rest. He even released a few into the villages, and that was all by the age of 10. He was an arsonist. Loki's mischief endangered countless lives. Okay, so why didn't they do anything about it? If they had the prophecy and they knew what he was doing and they knew all the things that were happening, why didn't they do anything before King Harold? I mean, maybe they're getting to that. He had the authority of a prince and the malicious personality. He caused hell whenever the king wasn't looking. Then finally, in that very castle, Loki killed King Harold. And so we get a silhouette of King Harold, assumedly dead. We can't see his face, and we can see his hand on his sword, resting on his torso. Uh, the greatest monarch Elbaf ever knew, a splendid wise man who tried to connect with the outside world, to get people to see beyond Elbaf's feared reputation as a land of warriors. Because of course, all this reputation comes from 100 years ago, when Dorian Broggy were the kings, but also no, because this was all like hundreds of years ago, probably. So they haven't been the entire time, and this reputation has just gone on for centuries. That's insane. Lord Jarul was stabbed trying to stop Loki, and so they point to his head. Okay, that explains it, but why hasn't he pulled it out? My helmet saved me in the end. It didn't save squat. Loki's reign of terror finally came to an end 6 years ago. He was running amok at sea when Red Haired captured him. People were saying, people were saying that it coincided with why he became an emperor, but I didn't like that because it downplays the strength of Loki. I feel like this whole chapter is downplaying how strong Loki is, and I don't like that because it just sounds like the reason he got away with like he got away with, and they weren't actually like feats of strength or anything like for real. They were just mischief, and people couldn't do anything because he was the son of the king, and then ultimately he killed the king, and he still had authority clearly because by the time of Lin Lin having to marry Lola, that was gonna do something uh with Loki and everything. But 6 years ago, Shanks stops him and becomes an emperor, and that downplays it even more because anyone can stop. If anyone will be stopped by Shanks, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're super weak, if you're super strong. Shanks will. He can. And it was said before that it took all the Elbaf's giants to subdue him. Maybe they're talking about actually imprisoning him. I'm hoping that's the case because I don't. Giving it to Shanks seems kind of disappointing. Like, give feats to people that don't have it. Like, please. Okay? Shanks. Oh, so is Luffy going Shanks? Shanks really came here? Yeah, in fact, he was just here earlier. I'm not sure where he went up, though. We know where he went. And Zoro is suspicious. Okay? Village outskirts. I thought you were acting weirdly on edge earlier. That explains it. You realize he's a reviled Kingslayer, right? Everything he told you was obviously just a lie. So this has to be. Yeah, it's Zoro. Okay. Yeah, it's Zoro talking to Luffy. He said he knew where Shanks was. Do you have any idea how badly I want to see him again? Yes, I heard about it 1,000 times. Sounds like he was just using that to trick you. I mean, of course Luffy was gonna be tricked, but I wonder what exactly Luffy did. How would you know? You've never met Loki yourself. I haven't. I'm just guessing based on his reputation. So we cut back. I tell you everything I know. That includes Red Hair's current whereabouts. So that's obviously Loki talking to Luffy. If that was really a lie, I'm gonna send him flying. So it makes sense for him to confide in Zoro, and it makes sense for Zoro to point it out. But I was hoping that was going off to Usopp and Usopp say. But if we do get to see Mosa take the appearance of Luffy, uh, of Shanks, then Usopp can just try to debunk that, and Luffy. I'm not complaining about this. I think it's fine. If you're sneaking off to do what I think you are, did you seriously expect to find your way without there? Your way there without me. So this is Nami. I'm sorry, my. Listen up, Luffy. We'll get the key. But if he pulls anything funny, we'll have to take care of him. Got it. Thanks. But why's this guy here? He's my new slave. And so it's obviously Roto. He's the one rowing the ship going towards Loki. And Roto goes, I'm truly blessed. Don't forget, I'm her number one slave and Sanji's number two. So this is this is so Death. Strong girls really get my blood pumping. He's been struck by lightning, literally. Namitaso, isn't it neat how we're both navigators? Don't ever try to get close to me again. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I hate Roto, but I like this dynamic. I kind of like it. It's weird, and I don't particularly enjoy it, but it's good. It feels wrong for the guest of honor to bail so early. She. Don't worry, I brought some meat. Have you tried this moose? They're all in drunken stupor now. They probably can't remember what they're celebrating. Oh, okay. So that's Rhoda just explaining. Okay, that makes sense. They were going to leave anyways. There was nothing they would be able to do. However, Saul would notice. I don't think Saul would be drinking. Say, if all the treasure in the castle suddenly disappeared, would that be a problem, Roto? Uh, my vision is awful, so I'm sure I wouldn't even notice. You had this in mind since the beginning, didn't you, Nami? Huh? Your eyes, and she has the signs of the berries on her eyes. Dog! So that's what it is. Realm of the Dead. So Loki's laugh is Dog. I truly understood you correctly. Then I'm afraid I'll have to step back and refuse your offer. I'm sure it's been an honor to be invited to join your noble knights. What? But that would make you celestial dragons, right? Do you really expect anyone on the planet to willingly become scum like that? Okay, so I was right like a couple episodes ago when I said that he was really like the person he was talking to has to be this guy, and then I was right. I was as right as you can get. And so Shanks, Mosa, do we have any intel? All the informants we sent to Elbaf are reported a giant crow heading for them before the transmissions got cut off. So this is Sheik talking to Mosa. Their weakness is beyond belief. Oh, I'm done just standing by, listening. This is the definition of impertinence. And so we get Sheik, and she has one eye that is like very dark and the other one that's very light. So she has two different eyes. It's like a Keke Genkai. I won't let it stand. God Knights. Gunko. So her name is Gunko. And oh! goes shoot and her arm is dissolving into this like arrow thing. It's like an arrow, but it looks like a bandage. I won't let it stand. Don't be hasty, Gunko. Oh, and so up to like a Fenrir comes along. It's a giant wolf with a bane made of flames, and it comes up to them. Dog, eat them up, wolf. And so this is Loki's okay. So I guess they're not friends. Uh, and Gunko is turned around, the wolf behind her, and she goes, "Hey, stay back if you want to keep breathing." And so the dog goes, "Hmm?" And so she goes, and completely wrapped up. "Hey, wolf!" Huh? Boom! Hung. And it's screaming, "Wolf! Wolf! If we were to spare him, would you change your mind then?" So they're making him a god knight by force. So that's how you operate, huh? Well, if that was your offer, I'd accept my friend's fate and wish him peace in death. It's okay to grieve and rage, but a warrior never kicks and screams in the face of death. And we hear like a sound go, ooh, I think he died. I'll swallow all my fury and use it to fuel me when I reduce this world to rubble. A proud proclamation. Chapter 1136. End. Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. Because at the end of the day, what Loki seems to want is to completely destroy the entire world. He actually wants to initiate Ragnarok. He doesn't want to just destroy Elbaf, which of course he does, but he wants to destroy everything. And if he's a god knight, sure, he has the authority to do so, but he can't actually destroy everything because that would imply destroying everything but the Red Line and the Celestial Dragons. And he not only doesn't want to be a Celestial Dragon, but he wants to kill every Celestial Dragon. It seems to me that the people he despises the most are the celestial dragons. And he just happens to like Mosa, but at the end of the day, they are here to force him into becoming God Knight, and he's just not for that. So that makes a lot of sense. The other thing is like, because this chapter had a lot. Jarul is definitely dead. They mentioned Big Mom, and Big Mom, I still think she's coming over. I feel like her story cannot end without something about Elbaf. And I feel like now that we are here, it's only normal, I would say, to bring her back. And it doesn't seem like Loki will be the final bad guy. Uh, because he just seems like once he's freed, he'll just destroy everything. Uh, and he seems more like a natural disaster than a villain. And a villain that just wants to destroy everything just like that isn't exactly entertaining. He's a good side character and he's a good like deterrent, like the cage. He's a good something that we have to stop, but he's not a good villain. When it comes to Mosa, it feels like the only reason they're here is for Loki. So the fact that that's what it is, it just but another person that is called the God of Destruction, and it's not she's not called out specifically. Of course, Big Mom, every time she completely destroys stuff because that's just like how she gets. And so bringing her back and then showing the God of Liberation, now called the God of Destruction, having that clash, that would be very interesting. And so then it just heralds the dawn of a new age because now we have the God of Destruction, we have the embodiment of destruction that wants to actually destroy. Well, the embodiment of destruction is Linlin, and then we get Loki, who is the deterrent that wants to destroy everything. And once these three get in Elbaf, I feel like that kicks off the final saga for sure. Like the final war. Like here is the world is flooding already. Now whatever land is left is about to be destroyed by these three giants, essentially. There are three giants in terms of actual power and in terms of actual size. I mean, Luffy's not giant right now, but we saw Wano. We know what happens. But yeah, the God of Destruction. I really enjoy that more than the God of Liberation, because if it just so happens that he happens to free things whenever he destroys, because that's just what happens. If you're actively destroying everything in a world filled to the brim with oppression, because that's what the One Piece world is. It is literally more like oppression than anything else. You turn to any island and they are oppressed, all of them. So if you happen to destroy the countries, you're not disrupting the peace, because there was no peace in there already. The world government sucks ass. So the fact that every single time, and it's already, the world has been destroyed twice, and it's still by Nika, and it's still seen as liberation. This means that two prior civilizations have already gone through this specific thing, and it might even be that the ancient civilization, the those, I almost said the Sonai, the ancient civilization, the ones that made the poneglyphs, it's very likely that their world was also destroyed by Nika. Although they didn't say it was specifically by Nika, it said it's just been destroyed twice before, but that the Nika name always comes up after. So I do wonder if he just happens to destroy everything during oppression. And I wonder if there's also been like two Lokis before. Because I feel like it also cuts back, because okay, the reason why Loki wants to destroy everything, and the reason he is so into, putting on Ragnarok and saying he wants to be the sun god, it might just be that the sun god really, and his interpretation, or at least the one that he believes, happens to be that it's the god of destruction, and that's the one that's correct. But this arc might also be about disproving that Luffy, for Luffy, and Luffy learning that he is not the god of destruction, but the fact that he learns that he's Nika, and he now decides whether he's the god of laughter, the god of liberation, or if he's the god of destruction. And I feel like he will want to disprove all of that, because Luffy doesn't actively want to liberate anyone. I mean, once he meets someone and he's like, "Oh, that's not fair," or like, "Hey, they fed me," he wants to help them. But I feel like he said way too many times, "I'm not a good guy. I'm a pirate. I just want to be free myself." I'm not. He. I don't feel like he's actively trying to do good. He just happens to do good, which would also be in line with what they say Nika does. By destroying something in the process, he's liberating. And that's why so many countries, also for Luffy, so many countries are following him. In fact, the Grand Fleet is following him, when in turn, he never asked for that. That was never his intention. This actually really works. And in the end of the arc, he might just decide, like, an entirely new thing for what Nika is supposed to be. He's not the god of destruction. He's not the god of laughter. He's not the god of liberation. He is the god of freedom, or something like that. I'm not sure. I wonder. I feel like that's where Oda's going with this. Anyways, those are all the thoughts that I have for now. I'm really, really excited, and I love the interpretation of the god of destruction specifically. But those are all the thoughts that I have. I have to see what other people are thinking, because this is a really, really, really interesting chapter in exposition wise. And it's also like one of the best setup chapters. But I don't have any more thoughts. This is all that I have. And we've been here for 35 minutes. This is insane. So, I mean, there was so much to talk about. And I feel like the next chapter, we're going to have so much to talk about as well. But, anyways, I have to be leaving, because this reaction cannot be 40 minutes. But I will see you on the next one. And on the flip side, I will see you later, okay? I have more videos coming up. Anyways, goodbye.